Saul Kirsch here with Double Alpha Academy, and in this video I'll walk you through step by step of how to set up and adjust your new Double Alpha Flex Holster for your model of pistol. The Double Alpha Flex Holster can be ordered with either an A or a B insert. And each one of those inserts includes an array of spacers which allow you to set up the perfect fit for your pistol. Let's go ahead and unbox the product and see which parts are included, and I'll walk you through the steps of deciding how to choose an A or B insert and then how to set up your pistol for the perfect fit. The holster itself ships in our new EVA holster cases, which can be used later on as a handy and useful utility box. The instruction sheet is included. The holster body, aluminum blank we call this, is fully assembled when it ships. And included as well is a full set of tools which give you everything you need to adjust and set up every aspect of the holster. The insert block, in this case an A-type insert block, includes a fully assembled insert and a bag of parts which will give you everything you need to set up and adjust your flex holster for a perfect fit to your gun. But before ordering your A or B type insert, you need to determine for your pistol model which will be the right size. The difference between those blocks is the depth of the insert from front to back. That can clearly be seen here on this drawing, the distance from the front face of the holster block to the back. The A blocks are smaller, the B blocks are bigger. In addition, a front face spacer allows you to make increment steps between the smallest A block, the A block plus 2 millimeters, the B block, which adds another 2 millimeters, or the B block plus the face insert, which would add a total of 4. Now, in order to determine which insert to order, you can first consult the list of gun types which is available on the product page at doublealpha.biz. Over there, we've positioned each gun that we're aware of, each type that we've tried, and we'll tell you which insert you need for that particular model. A lot of the guns of the same manufacturer will end up in the same group. For instance, all of the CZs require the B block. All of the 1911s and 2011s will use the A block. A lot of other guns you will be able to find in that list. While the Flex holster is very universal, it can only be used with pistols where the trigger guard has the same thickness from front to back. As you can see in the image on the left side, the gun has the same width to its trigger guard all the way from the front end and until it joins the grip. This is very compatible with the Flex holster. The gun in the middle is compatible too. It does widen out, but only on the top section near the grip, and that's not a problem. But the gun shown on the right cannot be used in the Flex holster. The trigger guard becomes much wider from around the middle and up towards the grip, and that is not compatible. But if you happen to have a type of gun that we haven't listed or we haven't tested, you can still check to determine in advance which insert block you need. By printing out this scaled demo page, which is available to download off the website, you can then lay your pistol on these pictures and determine which will be the perfect insert for you. As you can see, this drawing is printed with a scale, so you can then use your ruler to confirm that you've printed it to scale, and then taking your pistol, and in this case I'm going to use a flat cutout of a Shadow 2. We made these just because it's a little easier to see from the camera view. And you lay the pistol on the drawing of this insert. Now what you're looking to have is contact on the front face of the insert against the dust cover of the gun or the lower rail area of the gun, and at the same time you'd like to get as close as possible to contact with the back support sidewall of the insert block. Now as you can see with this Shadow 2, when I try to position and lay this pistol on the drawing, I can immediately see that the insert block is too short on the front. Using the A block with the spacer is a little bit better, but the gap is still there. If I try to lay this pistol on the B block, I can see very clearly that this is going to be a more successful fit. I have contact on the face of the block, and I have contact on the back, which will help stabilize the trigger guard. So by looking at this demo, I can determine that for a CZ Shadow 2, the B block, without the additional front spacer, will be an excellent fit to start with when adjusting for a perfect fitment to this gun. So the CZ will use the B block. If I took a cutout of a Zig P320 and I tried to lay that one on the B block, supporting the rail on the front of the block, I can see that the trigger guard, the bottom of the trigger guard, is a long way away from the back support wall. This one will fit a lot better and look more correct and well supported on the A block. So for the Zig P320, the A block is the one that's going to fit. Another improvement that this insert block offers the user is the ability to determine how low into the holster you choose to seat the gun. Typically with the Alpha X inserts, we would seat the guns as low as they would go. At some point you will make contact with the top of the insert block against the frame of the pistol. With the Flex insert, you can determine how high or how low you wish to seat the gun. Some shooters will prefer to raise the gun a little bit higher to clear for themselves more access room in this area here to get their grip fully around the grip of the pistol. Of course, be aware that you cannot raise the gun too high. You don't want to expose the trigger guard area. So this page is a helpful aid that will allow you to overlay your gun on the drawing and to determine which insert block you need, either the A or the B type, even if your gun model does not appear in our predetermined list. I'll now show you the steps to take in order to set up this particular Airsoft 2011 pistol, which we know will require an A-type insert, which I've already selected. And I'll show you the steps of adjusting your insert for a perfect fit for your pistol. The process is a two-step process, and the first thing we're going to do is adjust the fitment of the teeth on the slide lock to the front end of the trigger guard. After that, we'll address the width of the slot that's required in the holster to retain the pistol securely. Now each insert block, be it A or B, is shipped including a bag of parts which give you several side spaces, and these side spaces will mount into the side of the holster aluminum assembly to widen or narrow the gap that's available for the trigger guard. A set of screws which give you everything you need for that assembly process, and an additional bag including thin 1/1200th of a millimeter shims which are used to bridge the 1.2 millimeter gap that exists between these different inserts. Once you determine which insert is the closest fit to your pistol, you can fine-tune that for a perfect fit by using these shims. During this process, you will want to make use of the aluminum body of the holster, and it's best to remove it from the assembly of the hanger because that gives you ease of accessibility to these screws which need to be assembled at the final stage. So I'll take the body off the aluminum assembly and have that available. The big difference in the Flex insert block are the adjustable teeth that are mounted onto the aluminum slide lock. These teeth allow you then to get that perfect fit to your particular pistol. If you were trying to fit this STI type airsoft pistol and you took one of our Alpha X inserts, you'd find the fit would not be perfect because this gun is not identical. Despite being close, it's not identical to an STI polymer frame. But with this new system, we can achieve a perfect fit quickly and easily. So the first step is to adjust the slide lock teeth. You're going to start by moving the slide lock to the down position and engaging the safety. You want to do the fitment in that position. You engage the safety just to make sure that it remains there. The screws on these inserts are T20 and a T20 tool is included. I'm using a longer screwdriver here just so that you can better see what I'm doing on the insert. I'm going to open up the screws and allow these two blocks to space up and down pretty much as far as they are going to go. I support the insert block on my weak hand and I bring the pistol in and I lay it on the side of the insert, allowing it to seat down as far as it will go. Now on a 2011, the trigger guard is relatively short, so you can see that the trigger looks to be quite high, and I'm going to move that block upwards so that it makes contact with the bottom of the trigger guard. I'm going to do this while holding the gun in place. Start by tightening the bottom screw, the bottom block against the gun, against the front end of the trigger guard lightly. You don't want to over tighten it in the first attempt. You just want to find a good position. Push the upper shorter tooth down towards the front inside of the trigger guard and lightly tighten it. And then check to see how the fitment is between the insert and the gun. Are you getting any wiggle? Are you getting any play? Or is the gun now stable and feels like it's it's well connected to the insert block. This is what you're looking to achieve. And I can see here that quickly in my first attempt, I've achieved a fit that gives me excellent retention and good stability of this particular airsoft gun within this insert. I can perhaps look to improve that a little more by rotating this block 180 degrees and looking to use its rounded surface against the inner rounded curves that this trigger guard has. You do have the choice to determine how you're going to position these blocks, either with their flat surface towards the trigger guard or with their pointy horns towards the trigger guard. It really depends on the shape of that trigger guard that you're trying to fit, and you can play around with that to get the perfect fitment to your gun. I'm thinking with this curvature on the inside of the trigger guard on this particular model, I'm going to get a better fit by using that rounded curve that exists on the other side. So now, once I've got that fit, this I'm particularly happy with. There's no movement between the gun and the slide lock, and that's a perfect fit. Once I'm happy with that, I can remove the gun and then tighten up those teeth a little more to make sure they're very nice and secure. I want to make sure they're tight. I can then place the gun back in, ensure the fitment is good, slide the slide lock up and down a few times to ensure that's there, and that's step one, fitting the teeth to the pistol. Once you've achieved really good fitment between those teeth and the trigger guard, you're ready for step number two. Step number two is creating the correct width of slot for this particular trigger guard. In other words, bridging the gap that exists from the edge of the trigger guard, from the upper surface of the trigger guard to the side of the block. And you're going to do that by selecting a spacer that presents the right thickness. I'm going to start with my thickest spacer here, and I'm going to lay that in on top of the trigger guard. And I can see, I'm looking to see, does that protrude above the side of the insert block, or does it look that it's going to fill that gap correctly? In this case, this 10 millimeter insert, which is the widest one, looks like it's going to come very close to being what I want. So I'm going to try that in the aluminum body first. When inserting the insert into the aluminum housing, make sure the slide lock is in the upper position. If you leave the slide lock in the lower position, it can interfere. The large lower block can interfere with inserting a thick side spacer like the one we're about to use here. I'm going to insert that into place. I'm not going to bother with the side screws at this point because I just want to test to see how well that fitment is to this particular gun. Now I can see that the gun enters nicely. It's stable in the block. There's not a lot of play, but there is a bit of side-to-side wiggle. Now that little side-to-side wiggle I'm not completely happy with. I want to try to eliminate that, and I'll do that by using some of our available side shims. Now these shims are custom cut to fit onto the stems of the side spacer. I think I'm going to try 3. You place them onto the stems. They are completely invisible when the holster is assembled. Pop that back into place and try the pistol again. Now that side-to-side wiggle that I had earlier is completely gone. The release is nice and smooth. The safety will engage and completely retain the pistol. And this insert is now set up for a perfect fit to this particular model Airsoft 2011. Once you're completely happy with the fit that you've achieved, the gap is perfect, the gun seats and is stable, it's time to insert the screws and set that up permanently. 2 screws are mounted into the side from the inside of the holster. They hold the side spacer in place. There are actually 2 lengths available for these screws. If using the very narrow 2.5 millimeter side spacer, you'll want to use the short 5 millimeter long screws. Any one of the larger spacers, you're better off using the longer 8 millimeter provided screws, which will give you better retention and a little more hold on that side spacer. The normal countersunk M4 screws that we've always used to hold our insert blocks are available as well, and those are used for the back to hold the insert block in place. Once those screws are assembled, this holster body can be mounted back onto the hanger, and at that point your new Flex holster is fully assembled and ready to be used with the particular gun model that you've set up. Keep the spare parts safe, and should you ever want to readjust the holster to be used with a different gun type, that option is always there, and you can quickly, within a few minutes, as you saw here, set up your Flex holster to be used for your second or third pistol. So that's how you set up the Flex holster for a perfect fitment to your pistol. The Double Alpha Flex holsters are available and shipping now from doublealpha.biz.